How you doing, Marty?
I'm doing well, well.
We were just having a good conversation because you guys have been crushing it at SaaStock USA. Yeah. And I guess like your point of view was that like not everybody, not all the teams are really kind of trained about how to execute at events.
Yeah.
And I was just about to share that for many years, a company called Profitwell, I don't know if you know Patrick Campbell well, or have you heard of Profitwell, but they got acquired by Paddle like many years ago. So actually one of our biggest customers was Paddle, the other one was Profitwell. One acquired the other one, so we kind of lost the customer. But Profitwell knew how they had a game plan, they knew how to execute at SaaStock conferences. They always got the most opportunities, but because they did the most and they were the most prepared, right? And I think, if there's, look, there is a playbook, I guess, for that, how to do it. But what are some of the things that you can share that's worked well for you, at the conference?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty simple. So we did what everyone did at past conferences.
Yeah.
And this was before we had an events marketer. You kind of pay for the conference, you show up, and you're like, okay, like, hopefully things happen, people come to your booth. And that didn't work at all. Yeah. Like, I remember we went to one conference in New York and we booked maybe like 4 demos. And I'm like, what did we spend all this money on? Why did we bring 6 people out here? Yeah. And so one was realizing some people on the team are much better for conferences. Yeah. So we're looking at our team and we're now like filtering. We're like, why do you deserve to go to this conference? And so first is like, get the right people. Yeah. And then 2 is set quotas and an incentive for the team to perform, just like any other sales team, right?
Yeah, that's smart.
If you had a salesperson, you're like, hey, like just like do well this month.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're not going to know, right? Like, do I book like this much revenue, that much revenue? It's crazy, right? Yeah. And you would not do the same thing for an SDR. So what we did was we looked at our past conferences. We're like, okay, like how many people realistically do we think we could book based on attendee count that we expect? And what could be an aggressive goal that we could set to get the team excited? Yeah. And then also, like, how do we work backwards to see how do we make a profit from the conference? Yeah. Right? So we looked at, okay, if we book this many demos, these will convert to this many qualified opportunities, that will convert to this much revenue. And so let's compare that to how much we're spending on operational costs, on like, opportunity costs. Each AE for us costs $8K per day to send. So that's, 2 AEs, that's $16K, $32K across 2 AEs, and SDRs who otherwise would be cold call. Yeah. So you do that math and you kind of work backwards. What do I need to book here? Yeah. And kind of make something higher than that the goal. Yeah. And so we said, okay, we want to book 50 demos with people here. Yeah. And we told the team in advance, and we also told them, but each of you have a quota of 10 people each, 10 demos. Yeah. So each person, if you don't book this, you're not coming to the next conference. Yeah. So first off, personal incentive. Yeah. And then 2, team incentive. Yeah. We hit the 50 and they convert to this much revenue in a month. We'll check. Yeah. We'll go to a Giants game, like first row seats. Yeah. Right. So create a spiff, make it an incentive. Yeah. And so, we showed up, we're excited. We're like, okay, we have a number that we're going to hit and we know whether we're doing well or not. Yeah. And most people I'm walking around, I'm like, oh, like how are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we got 2 today. I got 0 today. I'm like, that was us a year ago. Yeah. You have not created this, like the situation for your team to succeed because they have no goal, they have no target, and there's no incentive to do well.
Yeah. Well, congrats on doing that and, exceeding your goal. And you're very right. And I think I guess maybe like on reflection, like we should certainly be able to play a part in this in educating and maybe sharing some of these kind of use cases when we learn about like how did Pylon succeed, and with your permission or other people's sharing these use cases. You can do that to a certain extent, and not everybody will do that. And you'll still see companies that will spend 50K, on a booth, send I don't know, a bunch of engineers just to stand there and crowd their booth and not have those incentives. So congrats on that. Like, obviously, interesting way to start the podcast. I wasn't expecting we would go there, but it sort of naturally flowed. But I guess kind of like for the audience that's not here, that hasn't booked one of your demos, what does Pylon do?
So Pylon is the first AI customer support platform built for B2B companies. Yep. So the easiest way to think about this is if you're already using a ticketing system like a Zendesk or an Intercom or a Salesforce Service Cloud, we are the AI native version of those products, but specifically focused on a B2B use case. Yep. So how do we think about that? In consumer, if you're answering a customer support ticket, it's super simple and transactional. All the customer conversations are in the ticketing system. In B2B, customer conversation and context is spread across what did the AE talk to the customer about? And that might be in a Fireflies call, right? Or, hey, what emails have we sent back and forth during the implementation process? Or, hey, we had an internal Slack conversation about this customer. All that context is spread out everywhere. And if you get a ticket and you're a B2B company, you don't have a context on, hey, what are the goals and use cases of this customer? What is their setup like? All that's spread across many other tools and places. And so if I'm a support team and Pylon can centralize that context for you, then you understand who is this customer, how can I help them, what is their current unique setup, and like what have they encountered in the past. We can give you a much better way and a much more context-rich environment in which to help customers. And then also, when you think about building AI agents, so either you build your own on top of Pylon or use our own out of the box, you can leverage all of those memories that we create about those customers and that account intelligence that we have about them. So, you know, an agent can go and you get this question, we're looking at a pre-summarized overview of the customer. Here are their goals and use cases, here are their pain points, here are the contacts, here's what each contact cares about. So if, you know, this contact comes in, they're the VP of support, and they've really been getting annoyed with the analytics, and they have the question about analytics, maybe we want to treat that differently. Maybe we want to escalate that to a human first to handle it more delicately. So B2B is completely different. We recognize that. We're the only company that has been built around that.
What made you, how did you discover this problem? What made you want to build this and build and scale Pylon?
Yeah, so our motivation for starting a company is purely fun. Very different answer than most people. A lot of people are like, money, or like, I had this problem and I wanted to solve it. To be honest, I think money is not good enough of an incentive if you want to build a generational company. Like, it's going to take us 10 years to get to a huge outcome. And like, if something goes wrong and we don't see the path to money, we're going to give up. Right? Or, hey, if you're like, oh, I had this problem in my previous role and I'm so passionate about solving it or have this industry, I actually think that's a bad reason, because who wants to grind away for 10 years on like some random thing they experience at work? So, you know, I don't think that's actually a good reason. And then even if you're passionate about an industry, it's like, look, like, that might also distract you. Let's say healthcare is the easiest one here. Oh, I'm super passionate about healthcare, helping people. The problem is that might distract you from building a great company, right? Because you might be super indexed on a problem or like space, and hey, maybe that space sucks. You know, I worked at one point on an idea that was in the nonprofit space. Terrible market, right? You're literally helping people who rely on donations and like grants, and it's terribly slow, have no money. And even if you're excited about that space, you might be distracting yourself from building a great company. And so for us, motivation is fun and adventure. And then the what and scale of what we want to build is we think about the company like a giant board game, where the win conditions of the game are get to $1 billion in revenue in less than 10 years. So we're doing it for fun, we're playing a game, and this is the win conditions of the game.
Love that. And obviously, you know, events is one of the channels that you're using and successfully to acquire new customers. Let's talk about, I guess, that kind of initial kind of traction phase, because I'm sure that you didn't come out the gate and, you know, start spending a lot of money at events. Getting those first customers, you know, what did that look like? And was it you leading the sales charge? Tell us a little bit about you know, that early journey.
So for our first sales, right? So our first customers were in network. So I actually was living with I was basically in a hacker house in San Francisco called Mission Control. It's like one of the oldest hacker houses in SF. And we had the initial idea for Pylon, or at least the problem we wanted to solve, which was a lot of people were supporting customers over Slack, and there was no way to track those conversations. So that was the initial problem. I go upstairs in that hacker house. It's a bunch of founders living there. And I go up to Tejas, the co-founder of this company called High Touch. And I'm like, hey, Tejas, do you guys happen to offer Slack support to your customers? Do you have any problems around that? And he said, Marty, you're not going to believe it, but we actually are looking for a solution to this problem right now. And so it took around 20 seconds for me to walk upstairs, find our first prospect, and he was like, look, I'm not going to recommend you necessarily to our team, but I'll put you in touch with them, and you can shoot your shot. And so that's how we actually got our first prospect, who turned into our first customer. And then the next couple were, one was a former coworker of one of my co-founders had started a company, and so we sold into them. Another was someone who had tried to hire my third co-founder. And so we kind of crawled our network to start and be like, hey, does anyone have this problem? From there, we started doing LinkedIn DMs to people, so kind of cold outreach. We were effectively the first SDRs of the company, and we're just sending people messages. We're like, hey, you know, saw your company, saw you offer Slack support. Do you guys have any challenges scaling? And essentially ran that playbook. and that probably got us our next 20 to 30 customers. This was during YC. We would message, I think it was like at the time 30, 40 messages per day, all like customized connection requests. And then at one point, it turned into a lot of organic LinkedIn content. So we were like, okay, this LinkedIn DMing is working. We've heard some whispers of like, oh, like LinkedIn organic content is becoming bigger and bigger and brand building there. And so we're like, hey, let's try that out. It didn't work for a while, but then one of our posts really took off, and it was a build in public post. And I was like, hey, people really like this type of content. It didn't even necessarily sell our product, but it kind of just told the story of the company. And people, turns out, love storytelling. Humans love humans, so we're not pushing from the company, we're not marketing something, we're just telling stories. And so we just leaned very heavily into that, and we've been doing that for the past 3 years. And actually, a lot of our customers, especially early on, probably our first like 8 to 10 million, came from organic LinkedIn content, where people just like fell in love with the story, they fell in love with the brand. It almost was more like a TV show, like Silicon Valley, where it's like people are watching in real time, us running into challenges, us building product, us what we're thinking about. Hey, we hired a new person, new team member, new office. And so they've like, I'll meet people at this conference and at SaaS Talk, and they'll be like, hey, like we've been following you for 3 years. Like someone came up to me, they're like, I remember that post where you talked about how you guys were making minimum wage for the first 3 months of the company. It's like, you never realize like what's gonna hit, and like these real things that we were doing just resonate because they're authentic, it's unique to us, and like we were, to be honest, like one of the first people to do it.
Yeah, and I think actually, I mean, like I know you guys are sponsoring this event, but when we look at our speakers, right? It's like how did we come across you? Like how do we come across like Austin from Unify? Adam Robinson, it's LinkedIn, it's because you're following their stories, you feel like you know them, right? And you can see like how that content is performing, so there's like people are interested in this, that you've got a point of view, got a personality, and something to share, right? So we're just thinking about, I just bumped into Adam Robinson, I saw...
He's really cool, I spoke to him in the speaker area. I like him a lot.
He is great. I don't know why, but like a couple of years ago I was at a conference and somebody came up to me and they thought I was Adam Robinson. I was like, I look nothing
like
your beard.
him.
I look nothing like him.
No, he has no beard. He just has long hair.
He's just got long hair,
That's funny.
But no, it's very cool. And like, I guess you are, you're an AI native, software platform. But your team of humans that you want to, I guess, encourage to be using AI tools themselves and to become an AI business or AI first business. What do you do there? Like, what does that look like within Pylon internally? And how top down is that versus bottom up?
I think it's really cultural, to be honest. I was talking to someone here, a CFO, and they were talking about how their team, they have their engineering team in Europe, and they're scared of using AI because they're like, hey, this might replace us or like might reduce our need. But look, our team, so we can look at numbers, right? So we have a almost 30-person engineering team in San Francisco, and they all are using Cursor and Claude Code very aggressively, right? So early adopters and using it as much as possible, 4 terminal tabs, all like building stuff in parallel. And in terms of productivity increase, it's interesting. You might think like, oh, we're getting 4x output, 5x output. What we can tell from this tool that measures productivity is that we've had a 40% lift in engineering productivity over the course of like 5 months. So it's not as crazy as it sounds. And I think it's just, you're limited by the bandwidth of like, hey, when you are building software, there are only so many decisions you can make or like context that you can hold. And so I don't think, we're still hiring engineers. We're like still bandwidth constrained by them. And the same is true across every other function, right? So, for example, the SDRs, if this can help them book more demos or like outreach to the right people, we're going to get more SDRs because that books more meetings. We can build more product that we can sell. So it's really an accelerant, and that's how we frame it to the team. It's like, look, this is going to let us become a much bigger company. This is not a small pie. This like expands the pie, expands the market we can go after. And so, we're hiring 30 open roles right now, right? And we're aggressively AI native internally.
I guess you do have thoughts around it, but like around, I guess it's more on vogue right now to run leaner teams, more efficient, higher revenue per employee. Is that something that you speak about with your investors, or you think about kind of personally, or it's like, look, we've got a huge pie, we need humans. We're not too concerned about running lean, super efficient teams.
Here's what I'd say is like, I do not optimize for efficiency at all.
Yeah.
I'm optimizing for growth.
Yeah.
So if you tell me, hey, we can close deals without humans,
yeah.
of course I can be like, damn, let's like throw AI at it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I could just toss AI agents at like an SDR thing, which I think like people are getting closer and closer, I would do that. But it's not working.
Yeah.
If I could have AI just write code, of course we would want that. But that's not the reality, right? It's funny, like some people, this is a common theme I hear. People are like, oh, like I'm hearing prospects say, I can vibe code your product or whatever. But then, someone tells that to me, I'm like, look, we have 30 people, we have a whole 100-person team who is using the same frontier models as you, working on this every day.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think you're going to be able to do in a few hours?
Yeah.
Because we would do the same thing.
Yeah,
we would love to, I promise you. I would toss everyone at that strategy. But we have a full team building this product, supporting it, helping you get better at it, expanding it, improving it. And so the question is like, if we're using the same products and the same frontier models and even have early access to a lot of Anthropic and OpenAI stuff, then there's clearly some dissonance, right? Where it looks easier than it is. So I'd say that's an interesting thing I've been encountering in the way I describe it. First off, I think there's going to be this wave of people that try to vibe code their products. I don't think it's going to work, or I think it's just going to work for filling the gaps of a lot of products.
Yeah.
Or to be honest, if you're very simple, then maybe you can. But for the most part, a lot of things, I as a CEO, when I buy software, I'm like, I will pay money to solve this problem. I'm going to focus on what's unique to our company, which is, hey, building our product and our go-to-market strategy, and that's what I'll invest into. Otherwise, please, like, someone solve billing for us.
Obviously, you're AI native, but what would your advice be to them that they need to do, they need to start thinking about?
I mean, I just look at where's the opportunity, right? Literally just ask yourself, like, how can we make the most money right now? And I bet you it's something related to AI.
Yeah.
And then just go do that.
Yep.
Right? Like I wouldn't go and be like, okay, how do we like do this AI thing, that AI thing? I would just ask yourself, how do we 10x?
Yeah.
Right? And that should lead you to the right answer.
Yep.
That should also like make sure you're driving in the right direction, and it's probably going to lead to some sort of, hey, if we did this AI agent thing, then that's going to be more valuable. So I would ask that question, always tie it back to revenue, because that should be the goal and that should be the outcome. And so we're very numbers driven. I said this in the beginning, we're trying to get to $1 billion in revenue in less than 10 years. And so the question, we're laser focused on that, right? Yeah. So every decision on product, on market, should be related to helping us get to that goal.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, you're always like making sure tactically we're aligned with that end outcome. So I'd say the same thing for people. Just like ask yourself, like, how can we 10x? We're at 10 million. What could we possibly do to get to 100?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Marty, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really great to see you. Glad you guys are crushing it here. Looking forward to seeing you in Barcelona in October at Shift Europe.
Shift,
so it's going to be great. And looking forward to that.
Alex, thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Thanks, buddy.